Once Upon a Witch's Death, Episode 4, titled Blessings with the Opening of the Gate, feels like a spark igniting a lantern, casting light on the emotional and narrative depth this series is capable of while leaving just enough shadows to keep you intrigued. As someone who's been swept away by Meg Raspberry's quest to collect 1,000 tears of joy to break her death curse, I found this episode to be a pivotal moment that balances heartwarming collaboration with tantalizing hints of conflict. Airing on April 22, 2025, this installment, produced by EMT², introduces the Otherworld Festival and a tense partnership between Meg and her rival, Sophie Hader, delivering a mix of whimsy, tension, and introspection that kept me glued to my screen. Below, I'll explore the episode through several thematic lenses: narrative, visuals, character dynamics, emotional resonance, and cultural context, sharing my personal reactions to what soared, what stumbled, and why this episode feels like a turning point for the series. The episode centers on the Otherworld Festival, a magical event where witches open a gate to a parallel world, and Meg is thrust into the spotlight when her mentor, Faust, is injured and unable to perform the ritual. Tasked with assisting Sophie, a prodigy which in one of the 7 sages, Meg navigates her insecurities while uncovering hints about Sophie's differing views on magic, as noted in Reddit discussions. I really appreciate how the narrative uses the festival as a backdrop to explore themes of duty and self-worth. Meg's determination to prove herself, despite her lack of experience, is both inspiring and relatable. And I think the show nails the balance of giving her a big moment without making it feel unearned. The festival stakes, ensuring the gate opens safely, add a layer of urgency that's been missing in earlier, more episodic stories. That said, I didn't like how the episode rushed through the setup for Faust's injury. It's a plot device that feels convenient, and I personally don't understand why the show didn't spend a bit more time showing her vulnerability to make it hit harder. A brief scene of Faust struggling could have added weight to Meg's responsibility. I'm also against the idea that every episode needs to introduce a new character to drive the plot. Sophie's arrival is exciting, but I think the story could have leaned more on existing characters like Fine or Inori to deepen their roles. Still, I anticipate that Sophie's different perspective on magic, as hinted on Reddit, will spark conflict with Meg, possibly challenging her optimistic approach to collecting tears. The episode ends with the gate opening successfully but leaves a lingering question about Sophie's true intentions, which had me buzzing with theories. The pacing, while brisk, kept me engaged, and I'm thrilled to see the show embracing a slightly more serialized arc visually. Episode 4 is a step up, with EMT² delivering some of their best work yet. The Otherworld Festival is a feast for the eyes, with glowing portals, swirling magical runes, and a vibrant crowd of witches and beast folk, as described in the light novel's world building. I really liked the contrast between the festival's colorful chaos and the serene, almost ethereal glow of the gate opening ritual. The animation during Meg and Sophie's spellcasting, where their magic intertwines in a dance of light and shadow, was breathtaking, and I think it captures the series' blend of whimsy and gravitas. The Lapis Village, with its cobblestone streets and lanternlit stalls, continues to feel like a cozy yet fantastical escape, as Anime News Network praised for its immersive setting. Meg Raspberry, voiced with infectious warmth by Yoshino Aoyama, continues to be the series' heart. Her bubbly determination, even when faced with Sophie's intimidating talent, makes her endlessly rootable, and I love how the episode shows her growth without erasing her childlike charm. As Siliconera noted for her episodic appeal, Sophie Hader, introduced as a foil, is a fascinating addition. Voiced by an unconfirmed but speculated CU in fan discussions, her cool confidence and subtle disdain for Meg's naive approach create instant tension. I really appreciate how their dynamic, Meg's earnestness clashing with Sophie's pragmatism, drives the episode's conflict. Their forced teamwork during the ritual, where Meg's improvisation saves the day, was a highlight, showing that her heart is her greatest strength. That said, I'm skeptical about how quickly Sophie's character is established. Her prodigy status and cryptic motives feel intriguing, but I didn't like how the episode left her backstory vague. I think a hint about her past could have made her more than a rival archetype. I also personally don't understand why Fine, Meg's best friend, was relegated to a cheerleader role here. Her presence at the festival could have added emotional stakes, especially given their bond in episode 2. I anticipate that Sophie's differing views on magic, as teased on Reddit, will challenge Meg's mission, perhaps forcing her to question whether joy is enough to break her curse. Faust's absence, while narratively necessary, felt like a missed opportunity to explore her mentorship further, but I'm hopeful her injury will lead to deeper revelations. The episode's focus on Meg and Sophie's chemistry, fraught yet promising, kept me invested, and I'm excited to see how their rivalry evolves. Once Upon a Witch's Death thrives when it leans into its emotional core, and episode 4 delivers a poignant mix of triumph and vulnerability. Meg's fear of failure, especially under Sophie's judgmental gaze, hit me hard. It's a universal feeling, and I think the show captures it beautifully without wallowing, as Siliconera praised for its balanced, tear-jerker moments. The moment when Meg's magic falters but she pushes through, inspired by the festival's joyful energy, was incredibly uplifting, and I found myself cheering for her. The episode's theme of finding strength in collaboration, even with a rival, feels fresh compared to earlier, more solitary quests, and I really liked how it shows Meg growing through connection. Rooted in Saka's light novel, Once Upon a Witch's Death blends Japanese fantasy tropes with a universal coming-of-age story, and episode 4 enriches this tapestry with the Otherworld Festival. The event, with its mix of witches, beast folk, and interdimensional portals, feels like a nod to Japanese Matsuri festivals while embracing the series' fantastical world-building. As Yen Press novel translation highlights, I love how the show uses the festival to showcase its diverse cast, from squirrel familiars to visiting sages, creating a vibrant, inclusive world that feels alive. The concept of witches as both scholars and celebrities, as noted in Anime News Network's novel review, adds a modern twist, and I think it grounds the fantasy in relatable ambitions. Once Upon a Witch's Death episode 4 is a vibrant, heartfelt step forward, blending festival spectacle with the budding tension of Meg and Sophie's rivalry. I love how it showcases Meg's growth, from a nervous apprentice to a witch who can hold her own, and the visuals and music elevate the experience to something truly magical. The episode's emotional beats, while not as raw as I'd hoped, hit the right notes, and I think it's a sign the series is hitting its stride, as X-posts from @Alltex171 and @AllAnimeMag suggest. That said, I didn't like the rushed setup for Faust's absence or the underuse of supporting characters, and I think a touch more introspection could have made it near perfect.